Tell me if this feels familiar. You're staring at your phone, wondering why the guy who claimed he really likes you somehow never takes 5 seconds to send the first text. You replay conversations in your head. You convince yourself he's just busy, and you promise you're not going to text him first this time, but somehow you always end up breaking your own rules. In this video, I want to pull you out of that mental loop, not by telling you to play hard to get, not by giving you tired dating cliches, and definitely not by teaching you how to chase a ghost. I'm going to give you the one sentence that instantly reveals a man's true intentions, the mindset that keeps you from settling for crumbs, and the courage to walk away with your dignity still in your hands. Because here's the truth, almost no one tells you a man who wants you doesn't need reminders, nudges, clues, or hints. Effort isn't something you teach, it's something he shows when he actually values you. And the moment you stop filling the gaps he leaves, everything about the dynamic shifts. So if you've ever wondered, why am I the one always initiating? Stay with me. By the end of this intro, you're going to see his behavior for what it really is, not what you hope it could be. And once you do, you'll understand exactly why walking away isn't losing him. It's choosing yourself. Let's get into it. The hardest part about dealing with a man who never reaches out first is the silence that sits between the messages you send. It makes you wonder if you're overthinking, if you're expecting too much, or if you're somehow misreading the entire situation. But the real reason he's not reaching out isn't hidden, mysterious, or complicated. It's actually painfully simple. He's not reaching out because he doesn't feel any urgency, any pressure, or any fear of losing you. He knows you'll be there. He knows that, eventually, you'll check in. And because of that, he doesn't feel the need to invest. Most men don't consciously think, I'm going to put in minimal effort. It's not usually deliberate. It's more like a quiet calculation happening in the background of his mind. You're available, you're responsive, and you're the one keeping the connection alive. So he lets you carry the weight because it's easier for him that way. And here's the truth, you've probably avoided admitting, if a man truly wants to talk to you, you'll feel it immediately. You won't be waiting for that first text. You won't be refreshing your phone hoping today is the day he decides to show initiative. A man who genuinely values you communicates because he wants to, not because he has to. When he's inconsistent, vague, detached, or only shows up when it benefits him, that's not lack of time, that's lack of priority. If he can scroll social media, hang out with friends, send memes, or binge shows, he can text you. It's not his schedule, it's his interest level. Once you accept that his silence is an answer in itself, everything becomes clear. And that clarity is what gives you the power to respond with strength instead of insecurity. One of the biggest traps in modern dating is mistaking someone's occasional attention for genuine effort. Low effort doesn't always show up as something dramatic. It usually begins quietly, in ways that are easy to ignore when you really like someone. You brush it off, you make excuses, you convince yourself he's just not a texter or not good at communication. But those excuses only delay the truth that's already revealing itself. Low effort starts with inconsistency. One day he's warm, present, and engaging. And the next day he's distant, distracted, and suddenly busy. You can feel the shift, but he never explains it. He just expects you to adapt. And you do because you hope it's temporary. But inconsistency is rarely accidental. It's usually a preview of how invested he actually is. Another early sign is when he keeps conversations on the surface. He'll respond, but he never deepens the connection. You might ask questions, share parts of your life, or try to strengthen the bond, yet his messages feel rushed, incomplete, or half-hearted. He's talking just enough to keep you around, but never enough to build anything real. Then there's the bare minimum engagement, the quick emoji reaction, the lol, the one-word reply. It's just enough to make you think he didn't forget you, but not enough to show that he cares. And when plans are involved, low effort shows up as vague invitations, last-minute meetups, and a complete lack of initiative. You're always the one suggesting the details, confirming the time, or rearranging your schedule. These signs appear early, often within the first few weeks, and they're not coincidences. They're indicators of how much energy he's willing to give. The moment you stop excusing them, you stop settling for them, and that's when everything in your dating life begins to shift. There comes a moment when you've given someone enough chances, enough grace, and enough time to show you who they are. And when a man continuously avoids initiating, avoids effort, and avoids showing genuine consistency, You don't need a speech, an argument, or an emotional breakdown. What you need is clarity, delivered calmly, confidently, and without apology. The exact phrase you should say is this: I'm looking for someone who shows intentional effort. If that's not you, that's completely okay. But I'm no longer going to invest in a one-sided connection. This sentence works for a few powerful reasons. First, it's not an attack. You're not blaming, begging, demanding, or trying to guilt him into changing. You're simply stating what you are and aren't willing to accept. Second, it reveals your standards in a way that's firm but respectful. You're not trying to convince him to choose you. You're making a choice for yourself. Notice the phrasing. If that's not you, that's completely okay. This is where your strength shines. You're showing that you're not clinging to potential. You're giving him the space to opt out, and sometimes that's exactly what you need to see his true colors. When a man hears that, he has two options: step up or step out, and whichever one he chooses, you win, because you're no longer stuck in uncertainty. What makes this phrase so effective is that it breaks the cycle. It stops him from assuming you'll always be the one holding things together. It signals that his lack of effort has consequences, not because you're punishing him, but because you're protecting yourself. And here's the beautiful part. A man who genuinely cares won't feel threatened by this. He'll feel clarity. He'll understand what you need, and he'll match that energy naturally. But the man who only wanted convenience, he'll fall silent, not because he's hurt, but because he knows he can no longer coast. Your words set the tone for how you allow yourself to be treated. And this phrase draws a line that low-effort men can't step over, but the right man will. Mixed signals are one of the most confusing experiences in dating because they create a cycle of hope and doubt at the same time. One moment, he's giving you attention that feels meaningful. He's affectionate, present, maybe even vulnerable. And then suddenly he pulls back, goes quiet, or becomes emotionally unavailable. This emotional whiplash makes you question your intuition, and that's exactly why mixed signals feel so powerful. They keep you emotionally hooked while keeping him uncommitted. The psychology behind mixed signals usually comes down to one of three things. First, some men enjoy connection but fear responsibility. They like the comfort of your presence, your energy, your attention. But the moment they sense you expect consistency, they retreat. It's not that they don't like you, it's that they're not ready to give what real intimacy requires. Second, mixed signals often come from men who crave validation more than partnership. They reach out only when they need reassurance, ego boosts, or emotional warmth. Once they get what they want, they pull back because maintaining the connection consistently would require giving something in return, effort. This creates a push and pull dynamic where you're always trying to interpret their behavior instead of recognizing the pattern. Third, some men send mixed signals simply because they can. They know you care, they know you're patient, they know you're trying. And as long as they sense you won't walk away, they feel comfortable giving the bare minimum. Not out of malice, but out of habit. Humans repeat whatever they can get away with. Mixed signals also activate something called intermittent reinforcement, the same psychological pattern that keeps people hooked on gambling. When affection is unpredictable, your brain becomes hyper-focused on the next reward. You start chasing the highs and forgiving the lows, hoping the good version of him comes back. But once you understand the psychology behind his inconsistency, you stop personalizing it. His mixed signals stop being a mystery and start becoming data. And from that clarity, you can decide whether he's confused or simply not choosing you with the consistency you deserve. Walking away is one of the most powerful moves you can make. Not because it's dramatic or manipulative, but because it's the moment you finally choose yourself over uncertainty. When you step back from someone who's been inconsistent, vague, or half in, the dynamic shifts instantly. And what happens next reveals everything you need to know about him. The first thing that happens is clarity. Your distance exposes the truth behind his behavior. When you stop initiating, stop chasing, and stop filling the silence he creates, you finally get to see whether he actually misses you or whether he simply misses the convenience of you. This clarity isn't always comfortable, but it's incredibly freeing. For many men, your absence creates the very pressure they've been avoiding. When he notices you're no longer available on demand, he feels the emotional gap he used to ignore. Suddenly the attention he took for granted isn't there. The reassurance he quietly relied on disappears, and the lack of effort he once hid behind starts to look obvious, even to him. Some men will respond by stepping up, not out of fear, but out of realization. They understand your space isn't a game, it's a boundary. They recognize your value, and they begin to match the energy you were giving alone. When this happens, it doesn't feel forced, it feels sincere, and that's how you know he's capable of something real. But others will vanish completely, and as painful as that moment may feel, it's actually a blessing. His silence confirms what his behavior has already been hinting at. He was never going to put in the effort you deserved. Walking away doesn't lose him, it simply reveals him. What truly changes when you walk away is you. You reclaim your emotional balance, your self-respect, and your ability to see your worth clearly. You break the cycle of hoping he'll change and finally accept the reality in front of you. And once you reach that place, you stop settling for almost maybe, someday, and start choosing the kind of love that chooses you back every time. When a man gives inconsistent effort, high-value women don't chase, negotiate, or try to prove they're worthy of better treatment. Their response is rooted in self-respect, emotional clarity, and an unshakable understanding of their own value. They don't operate from fear of losing him, fear of being alone, or fear that they won't find someone else. Instead, they operate from standards. And standards don't waver just because someone is attractive, charming, or occasionally attentive. A high-value woman recognizes low effort almost immediately. Not because she's cynical, but because she's self-aware. She pays attention to patterns, not promises. If his actions don't align with his words, she trusts what she sees. She doesn't wait around hoping he'll figure it out or magically transform into someone consistent. She knows potential is not commitment. When the texts are sporadic, she doesn't double text, panic, or reach out just to keep the connection alive. She lets silence be silence. She understands that if she has to force communication now, she'll be forcing effort later, and she's not building her emotional life on shaky ground. A high-value woman also communicates clearly, without drama. She'll say what she needs, she'll express what she expects, and she'll do it without raising her voice or losing her composure. She's not trying to convince him to become someone he doesn't want to be. She's giving him the opportunity to meet her at her level, and if he can't, she's not afraid to walk away. And here's what truly sets her apart. She walks away early, not because she's cold, but because she understands the cost of staying attached to someone who doesn't reciprocate. She knows that emotional investment is precious, and she's not pouring that into someone who only shows up when it's convenient. High-value women don't punish, threaten, or play games. They simply remove themselves from situations that don't meet their standards. They don't chase clarity. They create it through their boundaries. And when they walk away, it's done with quiet confidence, not bitterness. What makes this response so powerful is that it changes the dynamic instantly. A man either rises to meet her, or he fades out of her life. Either outcome is a win, because high-value women never lose by choosing themselves. They don't settle for someone who occasionally acts interested. They choose the man who consistently shows it. Reclaiming your confidence after dealing with low-effort, inconsistent behavior isn't about pretending you're unaffected. It's about remembering who you were before you let someone's lack of effort make you question your worth. Confidence doesn't disappear. It just gets buried under overthinking, self-doubt, and the emotional noise created by someone who wouldn't show up consistently. And now, you get to clear all of that out. The first step in reclaiming your confidence is to stop internalizing his behavior. His inconsistency is not a mirror of your value. It's a reflection of his emotional capacity, his priorities, and his readiness, not yours. When you stop taking his actions personally, you free yourself from feeling like you have to earn effort. Confidence grows the moment you stop blaming yourself for someone else's lack of investment. The second step is reconnecting with the version of you that didn't settle. Remember her, the woman who knew what she wanted, who didn't wait around for mixed signals, who didn't try to decode half-hearted texts. She's not gone, she's just been quiet. Reclaiming your confidence is about turning her volume back up. Start by giving your energy to things that actually give something back. Your passions, your friendships, your goals, your well-being. Confidence doesn't come from being chosen by the wrong person. It comes from choosing yourself long before anyone else gets a vote. Another powerful shift is realizing that walking away isn't a loss, it's a reset. When you step out of situations that drain you, your emotional baseline rises. You start thinking clearer, you breathe easier. And little by little, you begin to see yourself the way you were always meant to, someone who deserves reciprocal effort, consistent communication, and genuine interest. Confidence also thrives on boundaries. When you say, "This is what I need," and then honor that, you build trust with yourself. Self-trust is the foundation of self-worth. It tells you, "I've got me, I won't abandon myself just to keep someone else." As you reclaim your confidence, something incredible happens. You stop chasing. You stop doubting. You stop shrinking to fit into someone's emotional limitations. Instead, you become the woman who recognizes red flags early, who walks away with grace, and who attracts relationships that feel easy, warm, and mutual. Confidence isn't built overnight, but every time you choose your peace over someone's inconsistency, you take it back piece by piece, until the woman who questioned herself becomes the woman who knows exactly who she is again. The right man will never leave you guessing. He won't create a pattern of hot and cold behavior or make you question your worth. The right man will pursue you consistently, intentionally, and with genuine interest, not because he has to, but because he wants to. Understanding the difference between someone who's convenient and someone who's committed is key to saving your energy, your confidence, and your emotional well-being. A man who truly wants you will prioritize you without being asked. He won't wait for you to initiate every conversation, plan every date, or remind him to show up. His actions will match his words, and his interest will be visible in every interaction. He understands that effort is not a negotiation. It's a natural reflection of his feelings and intentions. He also doesn't play games. He won't give you mixed signals, leave you hanging, or make you feel insecure about where you stand. Instead, he communicates openly, asks for clarity when needed, and consistently demonstrates that he values your time, attention, and emotional energy. With him, there is no guessing, only trust that comes from seeing consistent behavior over time. Another hallmark of the right man is that he respects your boundaries. He doesn't try to push you into situations that make you uncomfortable, and he honors the standards you set for your relationship. This respect creates a sense of safety and emotional stability, which allows connection and intimacy to grow naturally. When you are with the right man, pursuing is mutual. You don't feel like you're doing all the work, but neither is he passive. The dynamic feels balanced, exciting, and affirming. He pursues you because he genuinely wants to, not because he fears losing you. Recognizing when a man is truly pursuing you allows you to stop wasting time on low-effort behavior. It frees you to invest your heart and energy in someone who is capable of giving back fully. And once you see that difference clearly, you'll never again settle for half-hearted attention, because you understand that true pursuit is not forced, it's natural, and it always feels right. Moving forward, after realizing a man isn't putting in the effort you deserve, isn't about anger, resentment, or self-punishment. It's about clarity, boundaries, and reclaiming your power. The first step is acceptance. Accept that his behavior reflects his priorities, not your value. Stop overanalyzing. Stop hoping for sudden change. And stop convincing yourself that inconsistency is somehow excusable. Accepting reality allows you to make decisions from strength instead of frustration. The next step is setting firm boundaries. Decide what you will and will not tolerate in a relationship. Boundaries aren't punishments. They are statements of self-respect. Communicate them clearly when needed, and then enforce them without guilt. If he can't meet your standards, walking away isn't rejection, it's protection. Boundaries also prevent the cycle of chasing and disappointment from repeating itself, ensuring that your time and emotional energy are preserved for someone who truly reciprocates. Another critical step is redirecting your energy toward yourself. Focus on personal growth, hobbies, friendships, and goals. When your life is full and fulfilling, independent of a man, You stop feeling incomplete when someone doesn't meet your expectations. Confidence grows naturally when you invest in yourself instead of chasing validation. It's also important to reflect on patterns. Take note of the warning signs you ignored or rationalized so you can spot them earlier next time. Self-awareness is a powerful tool that helps you make better choices in future relationships, ensuring you don't repeat the same emotional cycles. Finally, embrace patience. The right person will appear when the timing and effort align. Until then, walking away isn't giving up. It's preparation. It's saying to yourself, I am worthy of consistency, effort, and genuine care, and I won't settle for anything less. Moving forward is about reclaiming control of your emotional life. It's about transforming disappointment into clarity, frustration into boundaries, and unreciprocated effort into self-respect. Every step you take away from inconsistency brings you closer to the love and partnership you deserve. And that's the ultimate victory. Choosing yourself first and creating space for someone who chooses you in return. As we wrap up, it's important to remember that dating isn't about chasing validation or proving your worth to someone who isn't fully invested. Every interaction, every missed text, and every inconsistent message is a signal, not a personal failing. The real power comes when you recognize these signals early, respond with clarity, and protect your emotional energy. The first next action is reflection. Take a moment to honestly assess your experiences. Identify the patterns where you've been giving more than you're receiving. Acknowledging these patterns isn't about blame, it's about understanding where your energy has been misdirected so you can redirect it wisely. The second action is boundary reinforcement. Decide what you will accept and communicate it when necessary. Whether it's deciding not to initiate contact anymore, or saying the exact phrase that establishes your standards, boundaries are the foundation of self-respect. They keep you from repeating cycles of frustration and allow you to attract people who naturally meet your standards. The third action is focusing on yourself. Reinvest the time, energy, and attention you were giving to someone who didn't reciprocate into your own growth. Pursue your passions, deepen your friendships, and nurture your confidence. When you prioritize your life and happiness, you become magnetic to the right people, those who pursue you genuinely and consistently. Finally, adopt patience and trust. The right man doesn't need to be coerced, persuaded, or reminded to show interest. He will naturally pursue, match your effort, and respect your boundaries. Until he appears, walking away from low-effort situations isn't a loss, it's preparation. The ultimate takeaway is simple but powerful. Stop settling, protect your energy, and never compromise your worth. Your next steps are to reflect, enforce boundaries, invest in yourself, and wait for someone who consistently chooses you, because that's the love and respect you truly deserve.